So today I figured I'd do a video going over XDefiant and kind of giving like an overview slash review of the game, covering my thoughts so far after putting well over 50 hours into it. So first I'm going to go over the stuff I think this game needs to improve upon in the long term for it to be able to be successful, and along with some things that I think the game gets right, but some minor tweaks here and there that could be better and different. So to start things off, I saw when it comes to like core gameplay itself feels pretty good. It feels a lot more responsive, a lot more fluid than the beta and alpha. The hit registration is pretty spot on. The animations are fluid. The guns feel good to use. They feel tanky. The impact when you're hitting and shooting enemies, the feedback is pretty solid. I would like it to be a little bit more like Call of Duty, where you get that little like squish sound effect you get when like hitting somebody's flesh, but other than that it's not bad. I do like the heads-up display. I would say it's one of the cleaner ones we've gotten in modern gaming. It's not too much on the screen that you can't see what's happening. It's not an Overwatch or a Suicide Squad where like half the fucking screen is with a bunch of bullshit that like doesn't even relevant to the game or what's going on. It's just like clutter on the screen. So the UI itself looks pretty nice. All the information being displayed is useful. One thing to start off with criticism wise that I don't like is the lack of a kill cam. I'm not really sure why Ubisoft decided that they wouldn't just not have kill cams in this game. Like sometimes you end up dying from like around a corner, or you end up getting popped across the map, and like it's really hard to see who killed you, or like if you were to get the other person's perspective to be able to understand how you could have outplayed or maneuvered them. It would be helpful. But I find it really weird that they made a first-person shooter, especially since this game was developed by an ex-COD dev, Mark Rubin, that he didn't decide to include a player kill cam, to basically help people out, with those kill cams that like, because sometimes in these types of games, the time to kill is so fast, you end up getting dropped in like 3 to 4 seconds, and like it's not really explained, so you're kind of having to struggle and figure out what you did wrong. But it's easier to improve and understand your faults if you have a kill cam going for it. So that's like a small little thing that could be added. Another thing that I don't like about this game necessarily is some of the specialist abilities really go against like the run and gun playstyle of this game. I would argue like Echelon probably is the best one, because it's like they have the mini UAV and the stealth suit, but other than that it's very run and gun. They're not being able to play safe behind walls or corners or set up shields, and I really don't like that the Phantoms, especially, like their abilities basically revolve around putting up shields and barriers, hiding behind those shields, and then just shooting at enemies coming towards them. It creates a situation where like some games you'll have the entire team camping behind a whole bunch of shields, like you're playing Overwatch 1 with Orisa and Sigma back in goats, and it really slows the game down. It becomes really boring when both teams are literally like shooting each other's shields and there's no real gunfights and gunplay. This game is at its best when everyone's running around, with super fast pace, old school COD arcade, run and gun. So I would just say, like, in general, maybe tweak those abilities so they have a longer cooldown, or make them, less spongy, because the shields for Phantoms especially, like, that shit is hella tanky. It might just be me. I know I'm not using the right equipment to disable them or take them down. I do know that once you have access to DedSec and you're able to like hack into their abilities, it makes it more manageable. But if you're just starting out like me, put about like 50-60 hours into the game, been playing for the past 3 days, it's been out, it is kind of annoying to be going up against these shields and not being able to shoot through them, or you have to get around the enemy in order to combat them. So another thing that could use some tweaking or work on around this game would be the footsteps, primarily the footsteps from your character. Like, I don't mind the footsteps being loud for my teammates and, for the enemies, so that way you're able to actually, like, if you can hear an enemy behind you, you can turn around in time and react, or around a corner and be able to pre-fire and pre-aim them. But your own footsteps sometimes can get in the way of that. Like, they sometimes obscure enemy footsteps because they are very loud. So it would be nice if they maybe tone down the personal footsteps of your character down just by a little bit, keep everything else the same. And overall, I think the maps aren't too bad. There's like 1 or 2 maps here that aren't that good. I would say the one I was playing on here, the noodle map, is one of the better ones. It encourages, a lot of run and gun, but I can't remember what the name of the map is, but there's a specific map on Control that has like these really long sight lines, and it's super sniper heavy, and like you can't really play with an SMG or a shotgun. You're kind of resorted to using an AR or a sniper rifle. So let's see, I think that's all I wanted to cover in terms of that regard. Now, just like primarily gameplay wise, but there is one final area I want to discuss, and that is skill-based matchmaking. So Mark Rubin came out saying that this game primarily would separate itself mostly from Call of Duty by being a much more casual and like ping-to-ping system type game. Like SBMM was not going to be included, OMM and all that other stuff they use on normal Call of Duties or in, say, Rainbow Six wasn't going to be present. But like, I would argue that this game doesn't have as strict matchmaking as Call of Duty, but it definitely does have the same issue as most other modern shooters on the market, and that is that there is some sort of skill-based matchmaking in terms of like the opposition you're paired against and the levels. Because this match specifically, the more I've been playing and the higher up I've been going, like I think I'm level 25, and I'm going up against people that are already max level 50, and they're like completely decked out. And this game especially, like, it was down to the fucking wire. It was literally like a 1 point difference when it came to who lost and who won. So, some of these matches out here are going to be super sweaty. They're going to be really tight. But for the most part, I would say in the beginning, my experience was really casual. It wasn't too bad. I was able to go positive most of the time. But I definitely say that the more you play and the better you get, the harder your competition is going to start to get. Because, SBMM is definitely here in some form. I don't know how, extreme it is compared to, Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege, but it definitely is present in the game, because the longer you play this game for, the more you're going to notice, your match is slowly getting harder and harder. So, but, I was just wanted to make this video basically going over my thoughts on the full game now that I've played it for a decent amount of time. And all in all, I would say this is a pretty good shooter. It definitely is a contender to, being able to pull some people away from Call of Duty and give them back like a classic arcade experience. But there's a lot of areas this game still has to improve upon, like adding perks, adding kill streaks, stuff that really makes the game more dynamic, adding different ways to customize your weapons apart from the pick system, maybe a pick 10 system to what we've seen from like Black Ops Cold War. Perks would definitely help in making the playstyle more unique for everyone. Kill streaks, A lot of people say that kill streaks would nullify, you know, the effects of this being a team-based hero shooter, but I think it would just amplify it, you know, having like cool kill streaks you could call in or stuff to help the whole team. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of improvement they could have for the game, but all in all, I would give this game like a solid like 7. Yeah, I'd give it like a 6 or a 7 when it comes to like, you know, being a first-person shooter. It's definitely not one of the worst games Ubisoft has developed. It's one of the better ones they put out. So, like I said before in my previous video, like if this was going to be able to dethrone Call of Duty or compete with it, you know, definitely check the game yourself out, you know, give it an honest visit. It's free to play. It will always be free to play, and, you know, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. But all in all, for what it is, it's not a bad shooter, but there definitely are a lot of areas it could improve upon. So that's just my thoughts on it. Anyways, have a good day.